Five, four, three, two, 1, 0. Five, four, three, two, 1, 0.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Web Boxing 101 podcast. I'm your host, Luis Trevino, on this Thursday night podcast number 43. We want to welcome everybody that's listening, and we're going to go live in just a little while because on all my Facebook, and we'd like to thank the Boxing Reporter for bringing the live coverage of all our podcast. Number 43 show was promising heavyweight champion David Rodriguez and former heavyweight fighter, professional fighter Herman Delgado, which is going to be also on the show more often this year to talk a little bit about boxing, his perspective on different things. And we just heard right now, we're getting a late start on the show. David Rodriguez a little bit late arriving, still not here, but we're going to start the show with Herman Delgado. Again, we've had him on the show before. He is a staple at the gym. And you're going to see him a lot more on the podcast, on the broadcast, on the future broadcast. I guess it's a different show. I don't want to say it's a special show, but it's kind of a memorable show because of what's been going on with the pandemic around the globe, recently hitting our nation and recently hitting our local city. So this podcast number 43, if again they took away sports, took away a lot of things, and I hope we can come into your own homes, into your gyms, into your area to listen to this podcast and just talk boxing. I mean, and I guess just get our minds a little bit off of just everything that's going on, the bad things that's going on, and our prayers go out to all the families that are suffering because of this. But at the end of the day, we all suffer. So if we can bring a little bit of light and we can laugh and talk boxing, because boxing is at a halt right now, we're glad to do that. So Herman, welcome. Thank you for starting the show with us. You're on Facebook Live, or you're on the Boxing Reporter, our online magazine as well, that's ran by Warriors Edge. Welcome to the show, Herman.
What's up, Tree? What's happening?
Well, a lot of things are happening, kind of, but boxing, the world is at a halt. When would you ever think that was going to happen, huh?
I never thought that would happen. I was talking to Shay last night. I said, Mija, in all the years that I've been on this planet, I never experienced anything like this at your age. So I said, it's something new. So, because she's saying she's bored, and I said, I don't blame you.
Yeah, the kids are going to be bored just being inside, huh?
Yep, exactly.
Hey, Herman, and real quick, before we even get started, there's new listeners right now. For those of you that don't know who you are, just tell us a little bit about your background real quick.
Yeah, I'm a former professional fighter, amateur fighter, Navy veteran, and UTEP grad, Bowie High School grad.
You've been in boxing for a long time, huh?
About 43 years now.
Can you name us some of the people that you fought?
Well, in the amateur side, I fought I can't even think off the top. He's one that went to Seoul, Korea to the Olympics, and he was late and he didn't get to fight. But I fought him in the amateurs. And
What about the pro?
in the pros, I fought Hasim Rahman, Vitaly Klitschko, Ike Ibiabuchi, Michael Moore, and Kenny King.
Kenny King, man. The tough fighters, huh?
Oh, yeah, they're all tough.
Tough fighters. Well, I mean, nevertheless, you know boxing.
Yeah, I know a little bit about it.
Folks, like I said, we have a pretty good show today. We're waiting for the heavyweight champion, David Rodriguez, when he gets in here. I know he's running late, but we got Herman to start the show. Folks, don't forget, if you want to comment on our live channel, The Boxing Reporter, you can. If you just want to listen to audio, it's going to be on the YouTube, Web Boxing 101 podcast on the YouTube. A lot of shout-outs to David Hernandez, Aldo Montes, Zurdo Garcia, JC Fernandez. The former judge, Luis Aguilar, is also in with us tonight, listening. And like I said before, just coming into your gyms, homes, radios, wherever it is that you're listening. Hope you enjoy the show, and hopefully we can talk and call us, comment on us, and we'll just talk boxing with you guys. That now that boxing is at a halt, and we'll talk a little bit more about how this coronavirus has affected boxing. But first thing is first, I just wanted to comment on something, Herman, that 2 weeks ago we were glad that the LBC, the El Paso Golden Gloves, did their 3-day tournament. And for the first time ever, it was done by not by the Sports Commission for the first time, by the new head of the Coliseum, which was Bo Bagley.
Yeah.
And you know what? He did a pretty good job.
Yeah, Bo's awesome. Bo's awesome.
Yeah, he did a very good job. The Golden Glove was pretty good. What was surprising, Herman, is that there was a lot of out-of-town teams.
A lot of out-of-town teams that have to come help us, and that's the sad part. Otherwise, we would have had half the bouts. And it's unfortunate now. You look up and there's nobody in the stands. What's going to encourage these kids to go out and box and put on a show? I mean, it's just unacceptable, the type of crowd we get now in the Golden Gloves and other tournaments here in El Paso.
And you know what? I know we talked about maybe it's the media, or we don't promote it. It's too expensive to even promote or put a billboard. And knowing how the media or the city does not back up the Golden Glove, something that was so prestige and big in El Paso 20 years ago.
Very true. But you know what? I used to put a lot of blame on the LBC, and I can't, because they put on the tournament. So I put it on the coaches and the fighters, or the guys that call themselves fighters.
Well, you know what? It's funny that you mentioned the LBC. You're right. The LBC goes out there. They did a hell of a job, volunteer basis.
Yep.
It's like if you build it, they will come. But they
don't come.
They don't come. Not in our tournament. The LBC was there. So, yeah, I give them kudos to the LBC for putting on a great show. And the little gyms from El Paso that were there, to name a few, Borderland Brawlers, Wolf's Den,
Garcia's House of Boxing.
Garcia House of Boxing was there.
Red Corner Boxing was there.
Red Corner. Some of the local rec centers as well, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like Bobby brings his guys from Red Corner Boxing from the Carolina Center, so they were there.
Yeah, there was a lot of local gyms, but we wanted to see more, right? Also, we had a lot of towns gyms.
Yeah, from Colorado.
Yeah, man. Those guys, the second time I see them, and let me tell you, man.
Las Cruces.
Oh, yeah, Las Cruces had some gyms out. Shout out to Crosstown Boxing.
Yeah, those guys.
I think the people from Colorado, M2M Boxing.
I don't know who they were, but you know what? We were talking about the boxing, and it's like you have a lot of these fighters here in El Paso. They're very good. And it's sad that other people don't want to fight them. Other fighters don't want to fight them because they have too much experience. It's like, if you're an open class fighter, it doesn't matter how many fights your opponent has. And that's where it's pretty pathetic that these boxers are scared. There's no other word for it. They're scared. I guess.
Well, the magnitude of the fighters is there, but you know what? Also, what I didn't see is a lot of the fighters that came out of Golden Gloves that, like the national champions. I think they should go out there and make a presence, don't you think?
Well, I think they should make a presence, and on another note, they're always asking for donations and asking for the public to help them out so they can go travel, but yet they don't want to represent El Paso. They just want money from El Paso, but they don't want to say, hey, you know what? I'm from El Paso. I'm representing El Paso, and I'm fighting for El Paso. No, it's just give me money and I need it for a tournament. That's not going to work.
Do you think maybe it's because they don't have a fight? It doesn't matter. Huh?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You just show up there and make your presence known. Listen, I'm the champion and I'm here, and nobody showed up to fight me. That's what it is.
I guess in order to receive, you got to give too, right?
Exactly.
So
exactly.
Yeah, and that was pretty sad that these fighters don't show up.
No, I was watching. I think you were watching it, and we were watching the fight, the national tournament that was taking place in Lake Charles. There was a fighter from El Paso that instead said they were from Fort Worth or Dallas, Texas, but yet they're from El Paso. That's pretty bad.
Yeah, they didn't yeah. Well, El Paso strong.
Yeah, I don't even go there. Don't even take me there with that.
Yeah, so I mean, you know what? So I'm glad that you recognize the LBC.
Yeah, the LBC did. Like I said, they put on a good tournament. It's just nobody came out.
Yeah, so kudos to Hector, Joe, Frank. They put on a good show, and kudos to all the local gyms, from the Wolf's Den all the way to Jerry from Borderland Brawlers. My friends and brothers, we're all in this together in this time of crisis, trying to keep our businesses open. And you know what, Herman, it's been pretty hard. Not yet, but Governor Abbott, or the state, just announced that all gyms will be closing effective tomorrow at 12 midnight. And I don't know if he knows, but we're not the EP Fitnesses. We're not the huge 300 member to 1,000 gym member. We're regular Joe Blow gyms that are in the corner of this street and the other street. And, we help so many kids that don't pay a fee, and we help them. So closing gyms can mean the world to a lot of people and their livelihood, right? Yeah,
the city also closed down the gyms, but that's a city. They have money to cover the expenses. And these other small gyms, I mean, we don't. That's a big difference.
And you know what? We want to abide by all the rules from CDC, but and you know what? But I don't know. I mean, are people overreacting, you think, Herman?
Yeah, I think it's an overreaction. I mean, I'm not downplaying it, but it is what it is. People are sick, and people are getting sick, but I just think they've overblown it. It's just gotten out of hand.
It's gotten out of hand, right?
Completely out of hand.
Wow. You know what? And we'll talk a little bit more, because that's going to be kind of the topic that people want to chime in and talk. We'll talk about that. But what's making boxing headlines recently? If you look at the boxing headlines on ESPN, Boxing Fight News, there's so many events have been canceled. But one thing that overshadowed all that was the recent passing of Roger Mayweather.
Yeah, that's pretty sad. And so young.
And so young. Roger Mayweather, he was a former two division world champion. And Mayweather Promotions put a statement, said that we are saddened with the recent news of Roger Mayweather passing. Our hearts go out to the Mayweather family, and we'll be keeping you in your thoughts and your prayer. Roger won the WBA Super Featherweight title and the WBC Super Lightweight World titles during a career where he compiled a record of 59-13 with 35 KOs. After retiring from the ring, he was a trainer for his nephew, right?
Black Mamba.
The Black Mamba, Floyd Mayweather Jr. Roger had suffered from health problems in recent years. And you said he was young. He was just 58 years old.
58 years old. And I saw him on that HBO program they used to have that would run about boxing shows before the fighters went in the ring. And I saw him, and I mean, they had already explained how sick he was. He was diabetic, I believe. And he just didn't. He was suffering. His health was suffering. But again, young age.
Yeah, 58 years old, man.
Man,
it looked like he lived a rough life.
Yeah, it took its toll on him.
Yeah, and when you would see him, but he was a good trainer, man. I mean, he was a staple in boxing.
Was one of the best.
Yeah, he was, man. So our thoughts and prayers go out to the Mayweather family. At the time, right now, and he was only 58. Rest in peace, Roger Mayweather passes at the early age of 58. So what's making news in the boxing world? Saturday's Box Azteca telecast will feature two-time world title challenger Jose Cepeda in a super lightweight bout, and that's been canceled. I just know about that. With boxing shut down in most countries during March and April, the question becomes, what about fights in May? May the 2nd fights include, Herman, Dylan White versus Alexander Povetkin, That's going to be for the WBC interim heavyweight title in Manchester, England. Josh Taylor, again, at Puning Konsong. That's going to be for the WBA super lightweight titles and the IBF. And that's going to be in Scotland. And I guess the big one that has been announced that we want to see, or I don't know if we want to see, but will be the Canelo Alvarez versus Billy Joe Saunders fight, which is the WBA and the WBO super middleweight title in Las Vegas. And that appears also to be canceled. Or pushed to June probably.
Yeah, I was planning on watching The Housewives of New Jersey instead of that. Forget about that.
Yeah, and people are saying that Billy Joe Saunders will give Canelo Alvarez a run for his money. I don't think so.
No, I don't think so either.
I was also said maybe Caleb Smith, but then they were saying Billy Joe will give him a more fight, but I don't think so either. I mean, is it worth watching? I don't know, but I mean,
I like to see a guy like Caleb Plant go in there.
Yeah, I think he's too soon for Canelo. I don't think Golden Boy will
De La
ever.
Hoya's going to wait till he's maybe 50 years old and then bring him in.
Do you think Golden Boy Promotions is good for boxing?
No.
Why not, Herman?
I don't know. And, De La Hoya was such a great fighter, and you would think that he would cater to the boxing world, knowing how they backed him up. And instead, he's been nothing but negative about boxing. He comes in with all these things where he changes the weights, double weigh-ins and things like that. He's the way he's treating Canelo, and then the new guy
Ryan Garcia.
Yeah, Ryan Garcia is like, he needs to step it up.
Well, I mean, after all this stuff, when we get through this pandemic, boxing is going to have to probably get a head start, right?
Yeah, boxing's going down right now. That's the way I look at it. It's just taking a big nosedive.
Boxing promoters have been keenly observing UFC. Which has pulled out all the stops to keep their events going despite the current conditions. However, UFC has now canceled its next 3 events. We can do it. We have no choice now but to postpone fights. Dana White told ESPN on Monday. He added that the UFC's April 18th pay-per-view event will go on even if he has to move to another country. Just recently, there was a showcased a fight with no people.
Wow. Why even go?
I mean, why even fight?
Why even fight? That's what I meant to say.
I mean, today was.
That's what adds to the whole match,
right? I mean, but Herman, when would you ever thought this would happen? The March Madness would start today.
Basketball. It would have started today. I was all excited with the minors, the women's games. I was watching them, listening to them, and then all of a sudden, that's it. One game, and they were done.
Well, what about the March Madness?
March Madness
would have started, I think, today.
Yep.
With $1 million on the line, investors, fans, people in the staff, people working the concessions,
NBA,
and the NBA now. I mean, all for the public safety, but man,
you're also talking the Masters in golf. They're postponing it for later, everything. I guess. So everything, the world stopped.
The last time I saw the world stop like that was 9/11.
Yeah, 9/11.
I mean, I'm not as old to witness the Spanish flu, the epidemic in the early 1800s. But yeah, man, it's weird that the sports world just came to a halt because of one virus.
Yep.
And we talked about, and I don't want to make it a political show, but I just want to talk. But you wonder how prepared were we, or how much did we know about it that we failed to prepare?
Yeah.
I mean, shit.
Well, everybody's going to start pointing fingers. That's what it comes down to. Everybody starts pointing fingers. Well, it's so and so's fault. You know what it comes down to? It brings out the good and the bad in people in these situations, because you have people that, right now in the time of need where everybody needs to come together as a community, they're being greedy.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the truth. I'm not going to hold back on that.
No, you're right. I mean, I think the problem is the hoarding.
The hoarding, it's
or
unbelievable.
The people putting. I just saw a picture on social media and a guy putting he had 30 gallons of milk.
Yeah, he had 2 carts full of milk.
Yeah, and he said it was for a business.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, man. I think there's plenty full of going. And you know what? I want to shout out to all the truckers out there.
Yeah, they're the ones coming.
Yeah, they're supplying.
And the guys in the railroad. I have some buddies that work in the railroad.
And they're coming down.
They're working hard.
Yeah, I mean, going back to, so thank you for all what you guys do. Also the first responders, the nurses, the doctors that are in the hospital.
Law enforcement, all those guys.
They're down to 15 days.
Nurses.
How much is the media been is the media think been effective or non-effective in delivering the correct news?
I think it's effective, and it's given us the when doctors give out what's going on. But I also think the media blows it up to where, man, you got people putting very stupid posts or very stupid things online on social media regarding what's going on with they're now making it a racist thing, and it's like, leave it alone. That's the last of our worries.
Well, I mean, I think there's a time that the media's got to say we're not competing.
Yeah.
Channel 4, Channel 7, and I'm not attacking them, but it's sometimes the media blows it up, and then now there's so much stuff out there you don't even know which one's legit or not legit.
Yeah.
But I just saw, well, there's only 15 days till supplies or whatever. But I mean, you know what, guys? God bless us all, man. And
exactly.
This is a time. This is a time that, as gyms too, as boxing partners, as just being human, Herman, we need to come together and just lend a hand and say a good morning, say a good afternoon. I believe, Herman, that this is the time that we need to come together, and I also thought that the world needed a reset button.
I think a recent what?
A reset button, like
exactly.
Reboot the computer.
Reboot. And right now there's a lot of people that post, Kevin Durant, Tom Hanks. No, don't worry about those people. They got plenty of money to take care of themselves. Worry about your neighbor. Worry about the elderly person down the road.
Yeah.
That's what we need to worry about as a community. Don't worry about the superstars. They got plenty of money to take care of themselves.
Yeah. I mean, and they have a lot of money to take care of other people too. I mean, El Paso, we don't have a professional team that, like a Dallas Cowboys around the corner that's going to supply a whole neighborhood with water. Or we're on our own over here, man.
We're on our own.
And with our sisters city, Las Cruces, and then our brothers from the south over there. But it's been pretty sad to see that there is no boxing. But I think with no boxing, no technology and all that, I think it's a good time for people to come together and just overall, man, just
spend time with your families.
Be better humans to one another, man, because Jesus Christ, man, this little virus has put us on our knees.
Yep.
I mean, this has really crippled the United States, our nation. And you know what? And again, I'm not reading what the media says, but I don't know. But I know economically, it's going to play a big impact. I know friends in the business that I'm in the gym business, and we have to charge. But also behind that, I'm pretty sure a lot of gyms don't charge other kids that come in. So with this financial crunch, it's going to devastate a lot of the gyms. So my prayers go out to everybody out there that is, what the news came out, and after tomorrow on Friday, folks, we will prevail. And our supports and prayers straight from Warriors Edge Boxing, the Web Boxing Team 101 podcast, to all of you guys out there. So how long until things are back to normal, Herman? Unless they can work out a way to do studio boxing cards with no spectators, it looks like there might be any boxing events in the United States for quite a while.
Yeah, it looks like it, because it's all about how many people come out there. So that's a big thing right there.
Yeah, the CDC, which is the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, has just recommended that starting immediately, right after the next 8 weeks, all events of 50 or more people be canceled. We talked about the Masters, the March Madness basketball, and that was a while back.
Baseball also.
Yeah,
Major League Baseball, spring training.
I mean, they're even talking about putting basketball and starting it on Christmas.
Wow.
That'd be the start of the season. It won't cut into football as much, but more into baseball. So there's going to be a lot of things changing, and this includes, again, festivals, conferences, the Nevada regionals, I guess. The USA Boxing got canceled.
And you got a mess season coming up. I mean,
no, that makes money for the churches. Church got canceled as well. Yeah. Parades, concerts, weddings, and other types of assemblies. I know there was also a problem saying that people are still going in spring break, and there's the millennials out in the beaches
in Florida.
I mean, how much do we have to be afraid or not? Does the government know something that we don't know? Who knows, man? I mean, just try to stay home, folks. MGM Resorts has announced it will suspend operations in Las Vegas. And let me tell you something, man. Something that's been so eerie, and I didn't even think it was like 9/11. But for the first time, I had seen a picture when Las Vegas went dark. Did you see that picture on social media?
I saw that. I
should have had it. I don't have it on my YouTube screen.
New York, Times Square, same thing.
It's nobody's there.
Unbelievable.
Just imagine if this would have hit, or it might lead. I don't know. But if it was in the middle of the Christmas shopping season, imagine.
Wow.
MGM Resorts has announced it will suspend operations effective, and that went into effect March 17. That does in the March 28 Showtime card featuring Luis Neri and Aaron Alameda. MGM does not plan on taking room reservations until May. So that's going to be another big financial blow to that. The Tokyo 2020 Olympic boxing qualifiers in London was open to fans 2 weeks ago, over the weekend, last weekend. And of course, that has again halted. It ended. No spectators. The policy will take place up until the end of the tournament. Fans who had tickets will get a refund. I had tickets for concerts, and they'll refund me on one, and then I gotta wait for the other concert guy, for the other artist to come back. I don't know if he'll ever come back. If boxing is back in arenas by June 6th, we can see some good fights, and it's gonna likely be the date for the IBF middleweight champion Gennady Golovkin makes his mandatory defense against Camille Seremata at the Forum in Inglewood, California. The news was reported by ESPN and DAZN's own fight as well. So I would like to see Triple G, man. And
it's been a while since he stepped in there.
Yeah, and they're talking about Canelo Alvarez.
You know what? I don't want.
Well, they're talking about a third fight with Triple G. Of course, Triple G is older at this time, and they're just never know, man. Talking about a September date against Triple G. You would like to see that fight, Herman?
No, either fighter would have to win by knockout. Otherwise, if it goes to a decision, you already know De La Hoya's in the corner. He's part of the management. He's part of the problem. That's why it doesn't make it an interesting fight. He's behind it.
I mean, I guess just for the sake of it,
he's the new Don King, put it that way, just a lighter shade.
Right. Canelo Alvarez agreed to a third fight in the fall.
Yeah.
So we might see it in the fall after the interim bouts. And, of course, that'll be affected, too, by how long this pandemic will last. And they're bitter rivals, and I wouldn't mind seeing them the third fight. And I know Triple G is older, but I think Canelo will beat him. It was after 2 weeks of negotiations. This is out of the source of ESPN. After 2 weeks of negotiations, and of course nearly collapsed a couple of times, a deal was finally completed under which Alvarez would face Billy Joe Saunders on May the 2nd, with a stipulation that his next fight would be a third showdown with Golovkin, who would also have an interim first fight according to sources. And I guess I want to see it, Herman, but you're right. It's time to move on, man.
Exactly, time to move on. It's like trying to get another Pac-Man Mayweather fight. Let it go.
Although this deal is done, it's not really formally announced.
No.
As the sports world schedule began to come undone last week for this pandemic caused the cancellation of a lot of fights, so that's going to probably have an impact. The latest is Alvarez Saunders, a postponement that has not been formally announced. It's expected to be later this week, maybe tomorrow. When are they going to repost? And I think it's going to be in June.
What about Kovalev? I heard he was fighting in April.
Kovalev will be fighting that fight against I forgot the name.
Another one.
Yeah.
God, come on.
Yeah, that got canceled.
It's bad for boxing. Yeah, thank God.
The Alvarez-Sanders, going back to Alvarez and Sanders deal, was really a two-fight amendment agreement for Alvarez, Golden Boy Promotions, and DAZN within the confines of Alvarez existing a 5-year, 11-fight. Check this out: $365 million contract with DAZN. Wow. $365 million, which insisted that Alvarez agreed to a third fight with Golovkin before he would approve any opponent for his now postponed bout on May the 2nd, which is the Cinco de Mayo weekend, one of Alvarez's traditional dates before Floyd Mayweather had it. And I used to see his uncle there a lot in the corner. Alvarez, and again, it's going to be at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, and I think we'll see it in June. Alvarez-Sanders, which is expected to be rescheduled, would see secondary super middleweight titleist Alvarez in the fourth fight of the DAZN deal return to the 168-pound division for a unification bout with the world titleist Sanders. Folks, Canelo Alvarez is going to destroy him.
Oh, yeah. Knockout. That's
Sanders,
guaranteed.
Sanders did not look good in his last outing. at all. So, I mean, how much is this all going to be affected? If we're ever going to see a fight, shit, if even boxing will return this summer.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Or any sporting event in that case.
So,
yeah, who knows?
Sit and wait.
We like to just, sit and wait. Continuing the show, again, like I said, as promised, guys, heavyweight champion David Rodriguez was supposed to be on the show. Sorry, guys, unfortunately, he could not make it. But we have my color guy, side-by-side guy, trusty steed here, Mr. Herman Delgado, talking boxing with us on this a much-needed podcast for a lot of people that are tuning in. And I see people are tuning in. Jaime Palacios, Miguel Mata, Miguelazo El Paso's watching.
Hey, Miguelazo, how are you, buddy? How come you haven't shown up to the gym? Got some running for you to do.
JC Fernandez says hello. Good show, guys. And Cesar Fimon, he hasn't been on the gym either here. He's watching. You want to say hello to those guys?
What's up, Caesar, guys? You need to get in here, man.
So folks, we're sorry about that analysis, but we still have a good show. We're still trucking here. One thing that I wanted to point to you, and we're talking about the gyms that have been effective with all this. USA Boxing Nationals office staff working remotely and recommended that all gyms close until March 31st. This is an article from USA Boxing, March 17th. USA Boxing National Office staff has been monitoring and receiving updates from the United States Olympic and Paralympic Committee, who is working with the World Health Organization and the United States Centers for Disease regarding the COVID-19. Based on the recommendations of the United States Olympic Committee and the El Paso County, Colorado Health Department, and to minimize potential exposure to boxers, staff, their families, and the public, USA Boxing is encouraging to work remotely through March 31st, that all gyms will be closed. Also, based on the recent U.S. government guidelines released that we must follow, USA Boxing strongly recommends that all boxing clubs and gyms close through March 31st. We will continue to monitor and evaluate this need based on information and case by case. And this was when USA Boxing. It also stated, Herman, that for those registered clubs in the cities or towns that have the LBCs requiring the closing of health clubs and gyms, or not the LBCs, I'm sorry, the registered clubs in cities or towns that have their local governments requiring, like we just did today, the health clubs and gyms to close, follow those guidelines and requirements until those are lifted. So they're recommending and they're telling us to follow the guidelines of our city or our state. What do you think about that, Herman? And again, going back to this, Warrior's Edge or any of the gyms that I've spoken to the owners, we want to be in accordance with CDC guidelines, and I think the more we work together as a nation, the more chances of this pandemic to end. But it's pretty hard, man, right?
Well, yeah, you got the government telling people what to do, but yet the government doesn't realize the financial impact it has on these small businesses. That's the hard part.
And nothing has been said about if there's going to be compensation for gyms or businesses.
I don't know. I saw something rumors, online, but there's rumors.
I don't think there's I haven't seen nothing yet. And like I said, once that came out, I know the well-being of USA Boxing is to the fighters, and we'll take care of that as well. I think USA Boxing should say this. You ready? USA Boxing is recommending that all registered clubs and USA Boxing gyms across the nation that are registered with USA Boxing cease operations until this pandemic is done. If that's the case and you do so as a gym, USA Boxing will come back and give you a half off on all your registered fighters to the end of the year. These kids pay $75. How nice it would be if USA Boxing came and said, hey, you know what? You don't have to pay the full amount, just half amount. And if you want to register your gym, half amount as well. You got to give to receive, don't you agree?
Exactly. Well, you know what? You got a good point there, because boxing is a poor man's sport. These kids don't come from, from a lot of money. A lot of these kids come from, poor areas of town. They come here to box because, they're trying to find a way out. So, I mean, that only makes sense if the USA Boxing also understood the situation. These kids are going to gyms where gyms are just striving to make ends meet. And to give these kids a venue where to go do something positive. So I think they should be positive and be positive with these kids and help them out.
I totally agree. Members needing to speak with USA Boxing staff, please email or call the USA Boxing membership services at membership@usaboxing.org, or the number to call is 719-866-2323. So yeah, that's what they recommended for the closing of gyms, right? So, and we talked. I mean, how long till we're back to normal? I think this is for the long run, Herman.
Yeah, it's going to be a while.
From what I'm seeing in the news and everything. So let me ask you, what protective measures do you think that gyms can take? Because there's nothing concrete saying that even sweat can you get the virus, or I mean, what I don't know.
You just got to keep the gym, keep it clean. Everyday maintenance on it. Just clean up and make sure everybody, takes the trash out. It's just cleanliness.
This is forever.
That's what it comes down to.
It should have been already.
It should have been like that. That's what I'm saying. It's like washing your hands. Do you really need to be told to wash your hands? Common sense.
You know what I see sometimes in the tournaments, coaches not wearing gloves.
Yeah.
Do you think that's should be mandatory?
It should be mandatory because you don't know what the coach has. He might have an open wound, and you're touching the kid's face, the mouthpiece, and all that. So
or even the ring dirty.
Yeah, exactly.
There's so much blood.
Exactly.
And
you pick up a mouthpiece off the ground,
bloodborne pathogens,
put it back in their mouth. Yeah. So
then maybe there's going to be, and I think everything, Herman. I think across the board in the sports world, there's going to be some changes.
There's going to be changes in every sport now
from this, and I think, like I said, I think the world needed a reset button.
Yeah.
I mean, it's sad that it's not over, and more Americans will die. But yeah, I think there's going to be some changes. Like the coaches should have gloves on when they get on the ring.
Yep.
Must have a towel. I guess more cleanliness all around, because it is at the end of the day, Herman, it is a fight sport.
Yep.
There's going to be a lot of body fluids.
Yeah. A lot of
flying around, right?
Mm-hmm.
Blood, saliva, sweat, and then they get tangled together, and sweat gets on each other. So yeah, man, at the end of the day, it's a dirty sport.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's what I've seen a lot, man. So,
and in every sport, you're going to get the sweat and everything, bodily fluids and stuff like that. So,
in the light of, and again, all the sanctioned events have been suspended until March 31st, and I think it's going to be beyond.
Yeah, I think so too.
The way things are going will be beyond. Even though I have seen in the news recently that China has kind of recovered or is slowly getting back to normal. They just started their basketball league again with no people, but they already started again. So slowly but surely, people are recovering and slowly coming out of it, and it's been 5 weeks. Started in March, or a little bit. It's been almost a month here, but I don't know. But it's slowly but surely they are recovering and getting out of this, right? And by no means are me and Herman are even experts on this, right? We're just reporting what we see, and I've seen some good podcasts from Joe Rogan too. He had one of the experts in these viruses, and he was saying that it was coming, and it was coming out of these markets, these wet markets that they call, where there's so much livestock and animals and exotic animals that people just eat, and they can cook it. You just walk up. It's like a swap meet.
Where that in Wuhan?
In Wuhan, and it's like a swap meet, and you want snake with
dogs
and bats, and they just cook it there.
Yeah.
It's a poor district of Hong Kong, right up in the south or something like that.
I have no idea where it's at, but I saw that video on that market where they just go and pick.
Yeah, they're called wet markets, and but you know what was amazing too, Herman, that how prepared their state was. The hospitals, they were very prepared.
Oh, they built the hospitals within days.
I mean, it's amazing how they were prepared, and like I said, their normality of living or their way of life is slowly but surely coming together. So I guess that's some positive thing. And you know what? I wish I would see more positive things off the media, man. Fuck. I mean,
Oh, you're not, because it doesn't sell.
I mean, like something like that. I mean, if it was true, they should, folks. I mean, the normality is slowly but surely. You really got to dig to see news like that. You know,
Yeah.
I really had to dig to see news that the basketball leagues are coming back. People with no spectators, but at least it's progress.
It's a step forward. Yeah.
It's progress. But it's nevertheless sad to see. Like here, like I would have never expected to see that the event's been canceled. High school events, schools events, concerts, celebrations. It's just
the
been sad.
graduations at UTEP, high school graduations.
Yeah, they're done. In light of recent developments with the coronavirus, and after extensive consultation, this is out of USA Boxing, the United States Olympic Committee, medical experts, legal counsel, and board of directors, which is President Chair Tyson Lee, USA Boxing is suspending all sanctioned events through March 31st, and I'm going to say right now and beyond. This is a very difficult decision given we're in the midst of the Golden Gloves tournaments. And like I said before, I'm glad that we got our tournament
Yeah, we got
off
ours in.
Yeah, we got some good fighters, huh, Herman?
Yeah, we did. That was pretty cool. We saw a lot of good fighters from other teams too, so it was good. Even though there wasn't that big of an attendance, it was still good to see a lot of kids from Colorado, Las Cruces, and from some of the gyms here in El Paso.
I think it was very good. Kudos to all the staff again. Like I said, and our team, the Warriors Edge team, did pretty good. I mean,
those kids did good.
Yeah,
Our kids did good.
Good sportsmen, and it was great. I mean, we had a great time. So we got out of the way, but in the midst of the Golden Gloves tournaments and, of course, entering the qualification time frame for the 2020 Junior Olympics, USA Boxing's greatest concern is for the health, of course, and safety of all boxers, coaches, and officials and physicians. And I speak probably for other gyms and mine. Our main concern is for our health and safety of our coaches and our fighters. USA Boxing will review as circumstances evolve and more information becomes available, and provide an update to membership by the end of March. So we'll see how that goes. All events will be rescheduled. Their shows at later dates, and it's not as easy because, I mean, man, you're talking venues being canceled, hotel reservations, and already on top of that, there's other events already. I mean, there's already events scheduled for September, like the Clash of the Titans, Archimate, September 19. There's one beyond that. So, man, everything's going to come up. So there's probably going to be some events that are just not going to go.
Yeah, and I think that these events now, if anything comes up within the next 2 weeks, no more trophies. Just give out toilet paper. Think about it.
Yeah, that's gold right now.
That's
right?
gold, yeah.
It's like Mad Max was water.
Yeah.
Remember the Mad Max movies?
Yeah.
That was water, man. Now, fuck, man, it's toilet paper. Why are people hoarding toilet paper?
I have no idea. But the media announces there's a shortage, and people again they start jumping in to buy whatever they say.
Hey, I was speaking about thanking the first responders, right? And thanks for all the first responders. I want to say hello to JJ Martinez. He's one of my partners at the SO.
Oh, right on.
He's a champion in firearms, like the best of the best. I've never seen a guy shoot a gun like this guy shoots it. He's awesome. But also Jaime Palacios, he also works there. This is what he posted. He goes, "I never thought I would be standing guard at the Walmart toilet paper aisle."
Hey, send him my picture. Tell him I'm going to come by. Maybe he can
Hook you up?
a couple packs.
He said, "Wait, I could have found the next 915 boxer there." So it's crazy,
Yeah,
huh?
it's crazy.
I mean,
and again, you got to make jokes about it. You
I
can't
know.
be sad about this whole situation. It's there. So now, I mean, just got to lighten up.
You talked about we talked about him standing guard there.
Yeah.
The first responders, what's making them safe?
That's
right?
true. That's true. They're the
Our
ones that
Border
first
Patrol
come in
agents,
contact with these people.
the jail people, the corrections
Jail
officers,
people, all that.
when they get booked. I mean, what the right?
Yeah, what are you going to do?
I mean, you can't do nothing.
No.
There's nothing we can do with this virus.
It's not like they're going to wear hazmat suits,
Or Tyvek suits to go. I don't know. Maybe maybe that's the next uniform for the boxers.
Yep.
diving suits and a World War II gas mask. I
no
don't,
bleeding.
And no bleeding. Yeah, who knows, right? But and again, like I said, it's going to be crazy, man, to reschedule shows on top of one another, right? USA Boxing will not accept any new sanctioned events requests through at least April the 15th because there's already some. Refunds will not be given at this time, but you may reschedule your show for a later date.
Thank God you got your cadets through the last day of here training. Remember?
Yeah. Yeah,
before they shut everything down.
Yeah, I mean, we got a cadet class out of the way, and in the last 3 years, it was boxing was introduced to the sheriff's office cadets, and I thought that was very good, because it's a fight.
Yeah,
and a lot of kids, Herman, have never been in a fight. A lot of millennials have never fought. Like when we used to grow up, we would fight. Yeah, 3 o'clock behind the cafeteria, we're fighting all the time. We always get punched in the nose. But now these cadets are fighting. They're getting into that sport, and I think it's real important. But you talked about this last class, and I want to give a shout-out to the Falcons. Their motto was Rise Above All. They graduated today. Well, their graduation morning was today with no family members. It was just them and the sheriff. And it was pretty sad. But hey, look, we got to follow CDC guidelines of no more than 10 people or 50 in the gathering. So nevertheless, they were sad. It was a sad, but you know what? They understood.
Yep.
And I think the best thing to understand that they understood is because, look, man, this is the job that they're getting themselves into is a very thankless job. I mean, they're not going to be patted.
It's a tough job.
It's a tough job. I mean, period. Yeah, like tomorrow the world might stop like it is right now, and teachers won't go to work, and retail won't go to work. But come rain, shiny days, sunny days, rainy days, snow on the ground, ice on the ground, Armageddon, our men, first responders got to go to work.
And you also got to hand out a big shout out to the teachers. Right now parents are realizing at home with their kids, trying to teach them the stress and work that goes to being a teacher and teaching their kids.
Yeah, I mean, I know I saw somebody told me that they put a lock on the refrigerator.
I don't know. I get Shay tomorrow, so I might have to suspend her the first day.
Right. and you know what?
Send her to the principal's office.
He said, Jaime Palacio said, at the old Hillcrest Middle School football field or canal behind the school.
Yeah, I don't remember that
Remember
part.
the old Hillcrest? I saw it burn down.
Oh, yeah.
Remember
they were the Hillcrest Vikings.
The Hillcrest Vikings.
I remember playing basketball there.
I remember back when it burned. I didn't go to Hillcrest. I went to Ranchland.
Is that right?
But and then I went to Bel Air. But I remember the old Hillcrest burned down. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Palacios, I think it burned down, correct?
It did. It was a big fire.
And it was a monastery before, right?
I don't know what it was. You're trying to make me old, man.
Nah, man. But Jaime was just posting something about the old football field or middle football field or canal behind the school. I didn't know there was a canal behind there.
Yeah, there was. I remember that.
You do?
Yeah,
what were you doing on this side of town? You went to Bowie.
Yeah, but I used to play basketball with the Eastwood Raiders back when I was a little kid, and we played basketball in that gym.
Wow, man.
Yeah.
I mean, kudos to the teachers too, right? Yeah. And all the school people.
Yeah, you realize the amazing job they do with our kids.
He says, on a Thursday night while I was watching Martin.
Oh, man.
Remember Martin?
Yeah.
Man, Palas, you're going down memory lane, man. Going back, they're going to, again, going back to USA Boxing, suspending these events and will not get other events. Clubs and gyms may continue training. This was before they announced that to recommending. However, they should limit participation, help reduce the risk of the spread, right? As a reminder, there's some helpful instructions for local clubs and gyms. If sick, please stay home. Clean gym equipment, space thoroughly and often. And that should have been practiced all along. Wash hands often with warm soapy water for 20 seconds. I think that's the best remedy.
Yeah.
Avoid shaking hands and try not to touch the face, eyes, and nose, which is very hard. Follow good personal hygiene after every boxing practice, including showering with soap and water and washing uniforms after use. Which kid does not shower after boxing? I don't know.
Yep.
Oh, kids don't like to shower.
Yeah, some kids. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Why, I have no idea.
Yeah, no shit, right? So, folks, you're on the Boxing Podcast, Web 101 Boxing Podcast, and we've strived to have a better show more better shows coming up in the future, despite in lieu of what's been happening around the world and no sports on TV. But we got you covered, folks. We got the podcast and
Netflix.
And Netflix, yeah. We got you covered, man. If you want to talk boxing, you can come talk boxing with us as well. So you're on episode number 44 with former heavyweight boxer Herman Delgado. We had a 2-guest show today. The other one was supposed to be David Rodriguez.
Yeah, but you got to remember. I was just thinking, David's going through some stuff right now
with his dad. So we want to, and that's probably why.
I hope Mr. Rodriguez is doing good.
David's been going through some tough time with his dad, so we also want to give thoughts and prayers to him. And he couldn't show up today and be with you guys, but as promised, we'll have him on the next show, on the next podcast coming up. Tocayo said, puro Netflix and chill.
Yeah, exactly.
So, so David, we want to just send out a shout out to your pops, man. Hope he's getting better. And real quick, we're going to talk your rapid fire. You want to play rapid fire with us?
Yeah, do it.
All right, let's do rapid fire, folks, with heavyweight fighter Herman Delgado. Number 1, strongest puncher you've ever fought.
Ike Ibeabuchi.
Hard?
Oh, yeah.
Harder than Vitaly Klitschko? You fought Vitaly Klitschko or Vladimir?
Vitaly.
They're both doctors, huh?
They're both doctors, yeah.
And he's not as hard as...
No, Ike Ibeabuchi, it hurt if he missed you.
Man, that bad, huh?
Yeah, he was a beast.
Best heavyweight of all time?
To me, Muhammad Ali.
Why?
He was just the charisma he had and the fighters that he fought. I mean, Muhammad Ali fought the best.
The best.
12
rounds or 15 rounds?
I'd like to see 15 rounds again. I just finished watching a documentary of Dooku Kim and Ray Boom Boom Mancini. I remember watching
15 rounder?
Yeah, it was a 15 rounder. It was probably one of the last because I know the WBC changed it and they waited for the WBA to. The WBA still had 15 round fights, and I know there was one took place in Alamogordo, so they still continued years after the WBC changed their rules.
Same day weigh-ins or one day before, like it is right now?
One day before.
Like it is right now?
Yes. You got to give the fighter a time to replenish and all that.
You don't think that gives them a disadvantage to other fighters?
Well, it's both fighters that two guys are fighting in there, so it gives them both an advantage.
All right. Best venue city for boxing? When we're talking, is it New York, Las Vegas, Dallas?
Las Vegas.
Still Las Vegas?
You know, I like it. I fought in both Atlantic City and Las Vegas. And Atlantic City at the time was pretty nice.
When you talk about Atlantic City, it reminds me of Arturo Gatti.
Yep.
He always fought at the boardwalk. Is that what we're talking about?
I fought at the boardwalk at the Trump Taj Mahal, of all places.
Yeah, and there hasn't been boxing there.
No.
At all, man.
It's dying out.
It died out. And I think it died out, you know why? HBO left boxing.
Yep. HBO was the king.
The way I feel right now about like kind of what's going on right now, and there's nothing on TV or no sports, is when boxing said goodbye to boxing, and when HBO said goodbye to boxing.
It's you know what, the HBO is like not having the Yankees in the World Series. And again, I'm a Yankee fan, so.
Best boxing announcer?
Oh, I'd have to go with what's his name from HBO.
Which one?
Is it
Jim Lampley?
Jim Lampley. He was the best. I like him.
And he also took a step back after HBO left. I really thought that the Zone was going to pick him up, but they didn't.
He's good.
He'd probably come back.
Yeah.
Who wins in a tug-of-war? Tyson or Ali?
Oh, Tyson, just because he's so low to the ground.
Yeah, Tyson would beat him with stronger upper body strength.
He was Tyson was a beast.
Being that you fought all over the world, different venues, and I know you fought both outdoor and indoor. What was better, outdoor venue or indoor to fight?
I think indoor.
Why?
It just captures all the sound of all the people.
Really? I figured it was outdoor because the wind's out there more than... No.
I fought outdoor, but it was nice because of the weather here in El Paso, and that's how I started my pro career. But if I had a choice, it's the indoor venues are much better.
Instant replay review in boxing, yes or no?
No.
No, it'll slow the boxing game
Exactly.
down.
Exactly.
And that's what a lot of sports have had, huh?
Yeah, it slows it down, and that boxing is a thing where you got to catch it with the eye real quick.
Best pro trainer in boxing right now?
Right now, I'd have to say, trainer-wise, I'm gonna have to go with Robert Garcia.
The Garcias?
Yeah.
Good trainers, right?
Robert Garcia. I mean, there's Teddy Atlas, but Teddy Atlas is more about himself. And Freddie Roach is just, I think he's at the end of, that's it. Poor guy, his health.
Yeah, and do you think, I don't think Andy Reese went with Teddy Atlas, huh?
No, I don't think so. I think it was just a rumor out there.
And I'm trying to find if Andy Reese ever got a trainer.
Yeah, nothing's been announced.
You know what's been announced so much on the news that I'm tired of? The Wilder Fury.
Yeah, enough is enough.
Yeah, enough's enough. I don't even want to report it no more.
If they do a third fight, he's gonna get a worse beating.
Worse beating. The last question: who wins, Terminator or Predator?
Who?
Terminator or the Predator? Who wins in a fight?
I'll go with the Terminator.
Why?
I don't know. It sounds tougher.
I like Predator. He's tougher. Folks, you're on. That was Rapid Fire with Herman Delgado. Thank you for filling in. Great to fill in, and we're gonna have you more on the show. You're gonna be my color, my side-to-side man.
I'm gonna be your Ed McMahon, huh?
Damn right. You're gonna be right next to me, setting up the third
we need
mic.
A couch in here, man.
And the third camera is gonna come up here for the next podcast. So, thank you so much, Herman, for playing Rapid Fire with us. We're gonna keep talking boxing. We got more shows to come. Now that this thing has hit, we want to bring more podcasts to people. Maybe just kicking back, just kind of winding down for the day.
And you know what? It's good to see that we were at the Golden Gloves. How many people mentioned the podcast?
Yeah,
and that's cool.
Yeah, a lot of people now might watch it, but they're
reaching out. You're reaching out to people.
That's cool.
That's good.
Just to sit down and
talk boxing.
Just talk boxing. I mean, not listening to us, but just talk boxing. It's something about our local boxing. And folks, I invite anybody that wants to come out on the show. You can come out on the show and we'll just talk boxing. So I promise to come more shows from the Web Boxing Gym, Web Boxing 101 podcast, just to talk boxing tonight. So like I said, we were supposed to have David Rodriguez, just got wind, he can't make it. I know his dad's been in the hospital, so our prayers go to his family, and we'll bring back David. He's a very cool guy who'll come back, and Herman will be here with us as well. So we got a big show coming up. Stacked up. We're working on it already. But you know what, folks? In closing tonight's show, I just wanted to send out my prayers and my thoughts and prayers to everybody out there that is going through the pandemic. I also want to send my prayers and thoughts to the Gonzalez family. This week I lost my good friend. Last week my good friend Bobby Gonzalez passed, and he was a good friend of mine. And a good worker, and he was just a good all-around guy. So if I may, I want to dedicate this podcast to him. So rest in peace, my friend. And in closing, like I said, folks, I think the world needed a reset button, and I think we needed to reboot and really appreciate the little things in life, like going to the grocery stores and picking whatever the hell you want.
Yep.
Not now. And we don't know what we have until we lose it.
Yep. You know what? Recently, when I went to Walmart, it reminded me when I was deployed to the Middle East. When we went to go buy stuff, we had ration cards, and that's what that reminded me of. We couldn't get this, you couldn't get that. Yeah. You had to buy things on a point system. Unbelievable.
And you know what? Kind of slowing down everything. Because Americans, the greedy Americans, we have everything in our tip of our disposal. We have all kinds of foods, restaurants, glamour, luxurious thing. And I think for once, the big man said, "You know what? We got to slow down."
Yep. And we saw the real meaning of El Paso Strong with a lot of these people that stepped forward and did the right thing.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that did that.
Yes, they did.
I know a lot of people that went out there. Just regular civilians, guys, and they went out there and helped a lot of people and continue, and overshadowed those morons that
fly the banner.
Fly the banner and the shirt, but they're hoarding at least 20 damn boxes of toilet paper, napkins. There was no meat on the aisles.
Just pathetic.
Pathetic, like hoarders, like it's me, myself, and I.
Yep.
And you know what? The way I see it, Herman, is like when you're in a 2-lane road. And up coming, you say right lane closed, and everybody's going to go to one lane. You let the person in front of you go,
Yep.
and then the person behind you, let the person come in. No, have you seen that? People don't cut in, and they don't let people in. And when that happens, it kind of doesn't channel everything there. It just makes it worse for everybody.
But you said it right. It brought out the good, and it brought out a lot of the bad people in this town, a lot of in the community.
Yeah.
Sad. So my prayers to those people to everybody that's going through this.
Jose Gomez just say you should get Fernie Morales on your show. Saludos, un saludo, Jose. We did try to get
hold of Fernie.
I know I've tried to reach out to him a couple of times, and we're still trying, my friend. Aldo Montes says prayers to everybody, and Jaime Palacios recognized that Bobby G is in heaven watching the podcast down. So yeah, going back to El Paso strong and Las Cruces strong, it's to those people that really
stepped up.
And let me tell you something, it's not over, man.
Oh, it's not.
There's going to be a lot of people stepping up, and hopefully they step up not just for the recognition, man. And they step up because we do have good people. So I think, folks, the world needed a reset button. Damn, and we just
and for those people that are out there helping out people, the less fortunate, leave the camera at home, man, please.
Yeah, we don't want to.
Yeah, you don't need to be patting yourself on the back. Just do what you got to do.
Do what you got to do and help people out, man. I mean, and not just during this, every time.
All the time.
Because like I said, you should always help the needy with food, not just on Thanksgiving, but the entire year. Because there's always people out there that are hungry, man. And you know what, Herman? I think we're going to get by this.
I believe so.
There is tough times coming.
Yep.
The storm is here.
And hug your kids, man.
Yeah, the storm is here, and I believe that it's going to get bad. It's going to probably get worse.
Yeah.
But you know what? I know we can get through this, man. I know we can get through this, guys.
Yep.
And I hope that the podcast brought a little bit of get your mind, and we laughed a little bit.
You got to laugh.
Palacios took us down memory lane in Hillcrest, Chingao.
Yeah.
and just talk boxing. You know what I mean? Right now, there's no boxing on TV. But, folks, we're trying to make the best out of it. Any closing remarks there, Herman?
No. In light of what's going on right now, go on YouTube and watch that video by Jim Valvano, what he has to say when he reached the end of the road. You got to laugh, you got to smile, you got to cry. You got to mix all of them. The V Foundation, Jimmy V. But he has a strong message about this situation.
And where can we find this?
Just on YouTube, just Jim Valvano's speech.
Yeah, we will, folks.
And break out a box of Kleenex because you will. It hits hard.
To all my LBC community, all the gyms, if I missed one, Rodriguez Fight, Combative Sports, the LBC, all the president, vice president, the treasurer, Golden Glove president, all the gyms out there, the Wolf Stand, Jerryland, Borderland Brawlers, Red Corner, you said?
Red Corner Boxing with Bobby Joe Valdez.
Bobby Joe Valdez. Also...
the judge.
The judge, Luis Aguilar.
Yeah.
He comes frequently to the gym and just stops by and says
hello.
Great
chatting with him.
David Rodriguez, Lou Anello that just opened Pound for Pound Boxing. We want to say hello to them.
And the great show that Tony put on.
And the great show that Golden Eagle Promotions put on with Jennifer Hahn and Jerry Stites. To all the boxing community out there.
And Terry Washington out in Lubbock.
Aldo Montes delivering the weigh-ins. Great announcer, right?
Oh, yeah. That was good.
So we just want to thank all my boxing friends. You're like a family. You'll always be. And in a time like this, we need to come together, man, and we're one. Anything we can do to help you, we're here, folks. Folks, we will weather the storm. We will pass the storm. And we'll look back and say, man, we weathered that storm, man. And again, like I said, anything you do in life, guys, if you want to weather that storm, you got to put God first. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been a podcast on this Thursday. Have a wonderful evening. Folks, stay safe, man, and God bless you.